as I say that, we labor, and others attest to some of the being here today that serve with us. Night, days, and evenings, trying to work out compromise for different programs. Sunday school, trying to get a program that would work. Trying to get work. And then trying to get them funded. Today, as I prepared for this, I can't say today because when I found out about it, I was informed. I guess I've been reflecting in that day around some things that she is going to do. She has been a rock to me as far as religion is concerned. She's staunch in a way in the love of the church. Sister Hilburn was a leader. She was an instructor. She was a very, very avid student of Scripture. Yeah, still there. People here that know it. She had a zeal and a knowledge to rightly divide the truth. She didn't mind telling you. She was not selfish to share the truth with others. As we all know. I don't have to go because I can see the faces here of the people that knew her. Who knew her character. She was long-suffering, faithful. She was obedient to the Word of God. Far as I can see, I wouldn't have any doubt witness to this. Through God. And above all of this, again, obedience to the Word of God. Above all, the greater attributes that I can put to her that she is beautiful to her family and to the church. For these members, I dedicate to her. Proud to know.
Ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, elected officials, special guests, and the Hilburn family. We've gathered here this afternoon, and I'm going to try to speak loudly enough to compensate for our sound system. We're gathered here this afternoon to honor the memory of Mrs. Olivia Rebecca Miller Hilburn, and to pay tribute to the sterling character of a lady who left her mark on this community in so many ways. We are remembering a friend, a wise administrator, a conscientious public servant, and a very fine citizen. We're remembering a lady who was filled with elegance and yet simplicity. She was a proponent of Kipling. By that I mean she was one who never lost the common touch. She was a lady whose pronouns, I and you, were clearly defined. There were no big I's and little U's. The lady we're remembering today was affectionately known to me as Miss Olivia, a person who remained calm in all of her dealings. She approached all situations with the philosophy to govern yourself and adapt to others. I particularly remember here her home canning program, and I don't think there are enough of you in the audience old enough to remember it. But we used to have a canning program, and it was Miss Olivia who directed that program, and it was also Miss Olivia who brought to the community the mattress program. And I'm not talking about my age, I'm talking about Miss Olivia. Prior to Miss Olivia bringing the mattress program to Gregg County, to North Chapel, Texas, we did not have tufted cotton mattresses. Our mattresses were made of feathers, straw, and other sources. The fact that you could sit and watch Mrs. Olivia's little black Ford turning in at the top of the hill, you knew what time it was. You didn't even need to look at your watch. The lady had a knack for dependability and punctuality that is unparalleled. We are remembering an agronomist, a lady whose farm yielded as much produce as any of the other farms. And I'm not ashamed to say that I saw the very first banana tree I've ever seen in my life at Mrs. Hilburn's house. I likewise recall Mrs. Hilburn's house as having the most extensive library in Gregg County. If you wanted to read on black history, you had to go to Miss Olivia's house. Now, I recognize that a dedication is a very formal occasion, and I ask your indulgence in my informality. But I don't want any young person to leave here wondering who Miss Olivia is. I don't want it to be any doubt in anybody's mind that we have chosen the cream of the crop to honor today. Now, I'm going to stop for a minute here and point to this little desk over here. I just commend the chairperson on dragging out one of those desks from the original Little Red Schoolhouse. I also want to say, as I memorialize Mrs. Hilburn, that she didn't do it alone. She was blessed with good neighbors. And then we had neighbors who were not judged or determined by metes and bounds, but they were determined by their virtues. They were willing sometimes to be led. They were willing sometimes to be the leader, but they were always ready to pitch in, to say it, to show it, and to share it. I could enumerate academic achievements, but I believe the successes of her former students speak so well that I should not try to elaborate. I'm looking now at Cecil. But I must remember how Mrs. Olivia, after teaching school all day long, farming, milking, feeding the chickens, and tending her family, spent time late into the evening helping other young persons who wanted to become teachers pass the 7th grade teacher's certificate test. I certainly remember my uncles, Alfonso Rackard and Alma Rackard, how they came to Mrs. Olivia's house every evening to study so they could pass an examination to enter Snow Hill Institute because they wanted an education beyond the 7th grade, and there was no place to get it in these parts. It was by her help that they were able to pass the entrance examination, and they both went on to achieve very highly. I'm remembering a lady who touched the lives of the persons who produced the first family of high school graduates, a generation of which I am a part. Now think about that a moment. It was just a few years ago. Well, I said, that's some help. Well, not go on. That there were not any black high school graduates. None. We went to the 7th grade and that was it. But we're looking at a lady who touched the lives of the very first graduates, persons who finished the 11th grade. She taught us how to place our knives and forks. She taught us how to graft a tree. And she taught us how to grow a bed of roses. She was a well-rounded person. She led the charge for women's liberation. She wrote the blueprint on how to be a successful single parent. And this was at a time when the phrase was not known. She reared, fed, and educated a family of 5 in the hard times. I'm talking about before oil, before television, and before civil rights. My memories are not listed to the bright and shining. In spite of all the things we can reflect upon, Mrs. Hilburn had her fair share of distractions. There were those who would accuse her of doing things for personal aggrandizement, etc., etc., etc. But her unyielding faith in God strengthened her to go on. And now, just 3 years after her death, we attest. Finally, I'm going to make one more reference to my immediate family, and I want to tell you how she impacted the lives of my 3 girls. She was perhaps the last of the educators whose extracurricular activities meant reading a good book. She read the wisdom of the old masters. She taught you how to read a good poem and to know what you read. She taught you how to listen to a good song and hear it. And after teaching the aesthetics, she went out to the community on an as-needed basis and discussed with the parents your progress or your lack of it. Now, there wasn't a great deal of talk about the lack of your progress because you were going to progress. According to my girls, she had a direct relationship with the Board of Education. The Board of Education was a ping pong paddle with the board with the ball and the string removed. And they just declared that Mrs. Hilburn could bench press 500. But they do hasten to add that the punishment always fit the crime. And as a result of the Board of Education, I have one daughter who's now presently studying for a doctorate degree. I give Mrs. Hilburn credit. In conclusion, as we remember a friend, a great educationalist, a progressive and energetic teacher, an architect on single parenting, the forerunner of women's liberation, it is my hope that this building will forever be a tangible reminder of a lady who, in so many ways, helped us to work together, play together, pray together, and at whatever the cost, let's stay together. Today to pay tribute to the family and to the family.
Mrs. Hilburn's involvement, her services did not end with her involvement with community and religious and professional affairs. She also was a member of the Sunday of the Psalm, Court number 87, Parents of Jericho, for many years. She held many positions, some of which were Los Angeles matron, Mother Mary of the Juvenile Department, and her devotion to this organization made her unique. And she stood out in God's orchard as an abundantly fruitful tree whose leaves of concern for human betterment never wither, and her envy and object of prosperity never waned. We will always remember her for her service.
At this time, Mr. Miller, Dr. Doss, would you like to have a word?
Thank you. Good evening. In memory of the late Mrs. Olivia Rebecca Miller Hilburn, I bring love and greetings to the fine people of this community. My sister Mrs. Hilburn by no means was selfish. She gave up herself. But you too have played a part in building this community and doing good work. More responsibility is given. This is one of the rules of life. You have to lose yourself for the sake of others. I want to thank you, and you're grateful for honoring the memory of my sister. I hope that her life will be one that others would like to emulate. I hope and pray that you will continue to work together in this community and pledge yourself to make humanity richer. You light up my life. In my closing remarks, I'd like to quote a verse from Matthew 5 and 13. Let your light shine, that men may see your good works. May God bless you and keep you.